Okay, I'm going to do a quick video on how to show you how to put in one of these 6th Element engineering catch cans into a Veloster N. I don't have a tripod, I don't have a gimbal, so bear with me. The video is going to be kind of, rough. So we're going to be mounting it right in this location in front of the airbox. We'll be using the existing hardware that's already there. This is where the catch can itself will go, and then we're going to pipe it over and under the engine cover right here. So the first step, take the engine cover off. Okay, once you have the engine cover off, I'm going to show you the lines that we'll be intercepting with the can. So here's your PCV valve, and that plumbs, it's kind of hard to tell, but it plumbs right here into the intake manifold itself. We'll be removing this stock line completely. This terminates from a 3/8 out of the PCV into a 1/2 inch into the manifold here. That's important to know because we're going to be working with two different sizes, and with the kit that comes with 6 Element, they actually have a reducer, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so I loosened the hose clamps. Once again, one off of here, that's your PCV, and then one down here at the manifold. This hose clamp down here is really tricky to get to. I already have it pulled back, but it's down in there normally, and it's at a tricky angle, so I suggest getting some really thin needle nose pliers, or even those nice 90-degree ones to help you there. Once those are loosened, that'll pop right off. And this one's a little bit tighter on there. And that comes off too. So that's what we're talking about on the manifold. And then you want to save this. In case you feel uncomfortable going to the dealership or having the car serviced with a catch can on, you want to keep this just so you can revert it back to stock. Once you have the tubing out, you'll loosen up these two right here. These are 2 bolts that are just in the front bumper area, right in front of the airbox. I already loosened these, but you'll take these out, and that's where your catch can's going to pull. You'll use the existing hardware you already have, so you don't have to worry about that. And then you can start mounting it up. Just line it up with the holes, bolts back in. Be sure to tighten them up. I'm not sure how easy these two Allen bolts are to get off, so I'm not going to go extremely tight on these two. Just for when I ever need to service this to get oil out of the can. You probably could just unscrew it from right here, but it is kind of a cramped hand spot. So I'm gonna get these snug so they're not going anywhere, but I'm not gonna bolt them down permanently, just in case I do have to take it off later to get oil out of the can. So the next step is gonna be connecting and routing all of the tubing. You wanna start with the smaller diameter 3/8 tubing. You wanna start with the long one. The long one's going to attach right here to the PCV. The next hose that you're going to worry about is the bigger short one. It is 1/2 inch. Note that the hose clamps they provide you, there are 2 larger ones. You want to use the larger ones obviously on the larger tubing. This is going to go right into your manifold. Just like that. And then attach the hose clamp. Okay, next you'll take your reducer and another large hose clamp here. Hose clamp will go on, your reducer will go into the 1/2 inch tube you just installed. That hose we just installed here, I tucked it under this way just to keep it out of the way. Not sure if that's the best way to go. I just like it because it's nice and flat. You want to make sure there's no kinks in the line, it's not bending on you. From there, you'll take the shorter piece of 3/8 hose clamp, you'll connect it to that barb there on the reducer. You want to install your check valve. The check valve, its whole purpose is to keep the boost pressure that will be, from the manifold out of the catch can itself. You don't want boost entering the catch can. It can, start wearing out those seals in the catch can. You'll start having a boost leak. You don't want that. So what you want to do is make sure that you have the arrow pointed towards the manifold. So that way the vapors can exit the can flow through this in that direction into the manifold, but not the other way around. The boost pressure won't be able to make it into the can. So you also will need to cut this line here to get it installed. So you can kind of choose where you want it. I'm gonna tuck this tube up under the intake here, and then I'm gonna trim it. Now the check valve's installed. Remember, you want that little arrow pointing up the hose towards the manifold. Hose clamp it on, and now you'll use the remaining 3/8 hose that they gave you. You'll trim it down to size and connect these two here with hose clamps. You want to connect this line to the top. This is the flow out. Okay, and that's what it'll look like with the outbound all hooked up. I probably could have trimmed mine a little bit shorter because I do have a little bit of slack, but just make sure the whole way through you don't have any kind of kinking, bending, anything that's going to impede the flow. All right, and then for the last step, that first hose you attach to the PCV, it can come in straight to the input. Looks like this is going to be a little longer too, so I'll probably trim it down a little bit. But first I'm going to put the engine cover on just to make sure everything fits before I go ahead and trim this. Okay, so we're all hooked up now. I only took about 1 inch off this line. I kind of re-ran the line so it would fit a little bit better. As you can see, I snaked it up around this way under all this into the PCV. No kinks that way. I think it looks pretty clean. It's out of the way of the engine cover. So that's pretty much all you do. You're going to catch all the oil vapor blow by. It's going to condense in the can. Won't be going into your intake manifold and fouling up those valves. Hope it helped. Sorry, this is probably my first ever video doing something like this. So take it for what it is. Thanks.